reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
I want to take this time to say thank you so very much for watching the Rewind Sports 60 channel. All sports, all day, encore presentation, and much, much more. Thank you so very much for your continuous support. Continue to watch, continue to support. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day, and may God bless you. Now, back to the Rewind Sports 60 channel.
TheRewindSports60.com.
Just not the way that we wanted this thing to go in regards to the game. Really in all three phases, I thought it started off at the beginning of the game with them having the long drive and ending it with a touchdown. That's not how you want to start, but for us to then get the ball back and go down there and have a couple plays and have a 5-play drive and have it stall into 3 points instead of a touchdown. But again, that's football. So how can we recover from that? How can we get stops on defense and then be able to get in a rhythm and get touchdowns on offense? And obviously that didn't happen. And I just felt like they got after us the entire game from the first quarter to the very end. And that's basically where we're at right now. And talk to the guys in the locker room afterwards. And there's guys that care. I think that's what's important to us, but they care and they know that we got to do it on the field. It's not about what we say.
First up, Jason Leisure.
Matt, are you concerned about your job after a loss like this? And if not, how do you defend where the team is at right now? No, I'm not. I just think that right now with our team that, this is the stuff through the season that you go through. And it's about fighting adversity. It's about building cultures and staying together. And that's where we're at. And so that's what I do. That's what our coaches do. That's what our players do. We stick together and we understand where we're at and that when you have games like this, you got to figure out, you got to soul search and you got to be able to stop the bleeding. And, there's a couple directions you can go, but, my job as a leader is to make sure that they understand that. And obviously the last 5 weeks has been extremely difficult. It's not fun. And because we all want to win and we know that, but the one reason why I'm here is to fight and to lead. And that's what I think is most important during these times. And when you go through these times, how do you respond? And I think that's the test of true character.
Pat Finley.
Matt, what did you think of Mitch's pick in the end zone and on the shot play there? And I'm also curious with the fumble, did he let the holding on the previous play bother him on the following play?
I don't think so. The shot into the end zone where Mooney got bumped a little bit and not pass interference, but he got bumped and the safety made a good play over the top. And it was a shot that we took. They made a good play on defense, and so sometimes that's what happens in this game. But I don't think that it affected the next play per se. But that's those type of deals right there. When you're playing a really good offense like we are, the turnovers are you just can't have those.
JJ.
Matt, how would you assess this game from Mitch, just kind of on first pass with some of the ups and downs that he had today?
Yeah, I got to go back and see exactly some of the progressions in the reads where we were. I thought early on, I really, his eyes were going where my eyes were going, which is good, and he's going to where you want to go. And then the game kind of, before you know it, after we were at 17, down 17, and then before you know it, you're down more, and now it becomes a one-dimensional game, and they know you're throwing, and so that's where I have to go back and just look at the progressions. But the turnovers for us is what we can't have. I just go back to the fast start, is down in that red zone, being able to come away with a touchdown there. would have been, really big for us, and to be able to, take the lead and go up 7-6, but instead we stalled with a field goal.
Brad Biggs.
Matt, you moved a bunch of guys around on the offensive line tonight. You had Leno. I guess 2 questions. One, looked like Leno was struggling with the toe a little bit. And then 2, what went into a whole bunch of moving parts on the offensive line?
Well, again, just trying to figure out what's best, Brad, for us as a unit with where those guys are at specifically. Our guys there are really trying their damnedest to fit and to play as hard as they can. And I know Leno was really battling since that happened in the middle of the week to be able to do everything he can to get back for this game. And so I give him credit for that. But we were keeping a keen eye on it as well, just to make sure that it wasn't becoming a liability. But the rest of the guys up front there, I'll have to go back and see, with the calls that we made and the one-on-ones that we had and any of the breakdowns there. But for the most part, biggest thing, Brad, is that we're just trying to find that lineup between injuries and everything else that's going on, the best lineup that fits to where we can really, do well in the run game and then protect in the pass game.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Matt, I know it's Aaron Rodgers and you guys were without Akeem, but how were you processing that after a bye, with everybody, refreshed, that was kind of the defensive performance that occurred tonight? Yeah,
I that's probably one of the most disappointing parts is just that, just how that kind of went for most of the game. Because against a quarterback like that, I think when you run the ball almost 40 times, 39 rushes, and you have a couple guys that have almost 20 rushes per guy and almost 100 yards, they're getting some yards there on the run, and you kind of felt that early on. And so that's where, again, our team has been relying on our defense, and they're not going to always play perfect. But today it was one of those ones where again, that 3rd and goal to start the game, that 3rd and goal, he found Adams for a touchdown, and they had a 3rd and 20 later in the game and just running the ball. So I know our guys are frustrated about that on defense and are not happy about it.
Mark Potash.
Hey, man, the effect with, Goldman already out, the loss of Hicks was kind of a backbreaker. What did you think of his impact? The loss, the losing him had on top of everything else for your defense in this game. I know Rodgers makes a difference, but still, Akeem's a big part of your defense.
Sure. No, I mean, obviously, you guys all know, and we know, what type of player that Akeem is and where he's at and what he's been for this defense. And so, but at the same point in time, it gives an opportunity for other guys to step up, and that's their job as players. That's our job as coaches, is to coach them as best as we can and then have them executed. And I just felt like today you really could feel the middle of our defense, which is going to affect some of the linebacker play, right? Because they're going to get up to the second level. And so then they hit a couple big plays on us. And overall, though, again, when you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, you got to be able to certainly stop the run and then not give him big plays.
A few more. Adam Hogue.
Hey, Matt, in the second half, it seemed like tackling was an issue probably throughout the game. But after the Packers' last touchdown, Tony Dungy even said on the broadcast that is the Bears' defense basically giving up here. So I guess my question is just, were you happy with the effort throughout the game, and did tackling kind of become an issue there as the game wore on?
Yeah, I felt like the tackling there as the game went on, got sloppy, and that's kind of what happens when they're being able to have successful runs and you're trying to make tackles and stop them for short gains on first down. And I'll never question our guys quitting. That's not one thing that I'll ever agree with anybody with guys quitting. So I would disagree with that. But our was the fundamentals of the tackling, could it be better? Sure, absolutely, without a doubt. But again, that's something that our players have to dig down deep and say enough's enough. And obviously we players and coaches didn't do that tonight.
Cam Ellis.
Matt, you guys have talked a bunch throughout this losing streak about, soul searching and finding out who you are. As these losses sort of string together, what gives you confidence that people, the team still buying into the message as much as you want them to?
Just because of who we are in our building and the stuff that we've been through. I believe in these guys. I believe in every one of them, players and coaches. And this is just right now a very, very difficult time that we're going through. Forget all the other stuff off the field, but on the field, this is an extreme challenge. If you don't, as a head coach, if this doesn't bother you, or if this doesn't, affect you, then you better make sure that everybody understands that it needs to affect them. And our guys understand, because of the team messaging that we have and where we're at, how hard it is. It's hard to win in this league. And when you lose, and you lose 5 in a row, you are getting challenged big time. And what's easy to do, the easy way, is to just start pointing fingers and just saying it's not my fault. That's what it's easy to do. And unfortunately, there's too many right now. There's a lot to do that. And so we're not, and we're going to fight. And I thought that, again, our message in that locker room at the very end, and I'm going to keep it internal with us, was good, was very good. And so we're not going to point fingers. We're not going to blame. We're going to line up and play the next game that they allow us to play. And we freaking go and we fight for each other. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to be negative. We're not going to be down. We understand, and we're frustrated. We're pissed off. We're angry. We got every feeling. Trust me, every feeling that you have, we have. And but we got to fix it. And we got to do it on the football field. We got to do it on the field. And so this is where you rely on your leaders to do it. And it's less talk and more action. But the people that you bring in here, times like this is when you rely on them. And that's where I have ultimate trust in our guys.
Last one, Steve Leventhal.
Yes, hi, Coach. Overshadowed in a lot of this was a pretty good performance by David Montgomery. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought David ran really hard. I thought the line blocked well for him. That's not anything that, David's a hard runner now. He cares immensely about this game. He's going to give it every ounce that he has. And you felt that today. So, with that is belief in knowing that he plays hard and that he believes in us. And again, we just got to keep plugging away and fight. That's all we can do is fight for one another.
Hey, Mitch, what did you see on the interception in the end zone?
Yeah, it was just a situation where I was trying to push the ball downfield, trying to take a shot. Stacey made a good play. Definitely looking back on it, forced it a little too much. Probably would have liked to check it down or scrambled. But I was trying to be aggressive early on. That's what we were preaching this week as a team. Mooney got held up a little bit, but I still think he could have got to it. But the safety made a good play over top, so you got to give him credit. But in hindsight, definitely would have liked to check that down. Just not have forced it so much.
Colleen Kane.
Hey, Mitch, just overall, how do you assess your play today? Obviously, there were some ups and downs.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to assess just because, overall, we were just playing from behind the whole time, which is not ideal. Got to take away the turnovers, got to protect the football. That's pretty much the main thing that I'm concerned with. I can't put the defense in tough spots. I can't take the offense off the field like that with sudden changes and just putting the ball in harm's way. You're just not going to win games or be in games when you turn the ball over, and that's on me. But we battled. We put us some points, and we stuck together, and that's what we got to continue to preach going forward is just sticking together, and we got to find a way to get one, and then hopefully go on a roll. But after a game like that, you just got to look in the mirror and see what you can continue to improve on and what can you do as a leader to lift guys up around you so we stop feeling this way after games.
Steve Leventhal.
Yeah, Mitch, I know you didn't get the result you wanted, but overall, how did you feel to be out there? What did it feel like to be able to finally get out on the field again?
Yeah, if I had any perspective to take away from this, it would, or any positive, it would be that, I mean, just not being able to play and not being able to throw or practice, just being out there, I was grateful for that. Just being able to play the game, be out there with my guys. Obviously, it went bad for us tonight. We didn't get the result we wanted. We didn't play the way we wanted. But for me, being out there and playing with them is better than sitting out. So that'd be the only takeaway, I guess, that I would have that is positive, because the perspective of just not being able to be out them, it sucks. But the other things we can improve on. But so just grateful to be healthy again.
Cheryl Ray.
Mitch, were you surprised that the referees did not call a face mask penalty when you were grabbed twice on your face mask when you fumbled?
Yeah, I was surprised. Everything was just happening so fast on the field. It's my job to hang on to the football. I got to do that. As far as calls go, I never comment on that. I know those guys, everyone's human just like us. I mean, but my job is to hang on to the football. I got to do that. And at the end of the day, that's all I can control. So that's something I got to improve going forward. But it would have been nice to get a call and then have that taken off the board, and not being such a big a hole as we were. But just got to do better.
JJ.
Mitch, I'm curious, in the lead up to this game and now in the immediate aftermath, how do you block out thoughts about what this all means for you next year and next March when you're going to become a free agent?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, is just taking it one game at a time still, just being grateful for each opportunity to be out there and to play the game. And I know God has a plan for me, and it's going to be a crazy journey. This has been a crazy year in general. So you just gotta keep riding the wave of life, and just make every day count. And when we get to next year, we'll get to next year. But we still got to go to work this week and get ready for the next game. So that's what I'm trying to do for the next opportunity. And every time you go out and play, you always try to put your best foot forward, and for whoever's watching. And I know that stuff will take care of itself, but it's a process.
Pat.
Mitch, do you think you played well enough to justify starting next week?
I don't know. It was tough, like I said, just because the turnovers early on, and then being in a hole. There was a lot of excitement being back, just being back in the huddle and being back with the offense throughout this week. And I think myself and the offense, we had kind of this expectation or picture of what we thought could happen going into this game, and it just didn't go that way from the get-go. And so things like that happen sometimes. But I don't know. It's not my call. I just try to, like I said, put my best foot forward every single day, and the chips will lie where they are.
Adam Hogue.
I was going to ask the same thing. I guess I'll just ask it this way. I mean, what is your understanding of what the quarterback situation is right now going into next week? And then I'll follow up with this too. Did you feel like at times, though, that the offense was taking a step forward from where it's been recently?
Yeah, I feel like we were moving the ball down the field, and we had some more things open up, but that could be, I mean, who knows when you're playing from behind all game and then playing a certain type of defense, just not trying to let up big plays and giving us stuff underneath. So for me, it's just continuing to come in, lead the guys the way I know how, and just stay healthy. That's a big thing with this season, especially with pandemic going on. You're just trying to stay healthy, and anything can happen every single week. I think we saw that around the league with guys just whether it's an injury or if guys are getting sick with the virus, you just want to be available for your team and try to go out there and play these games and make the most of them.
Couple more for Mitch. Pat?
Mitch, how was your shoulder? Getting hit for the first time since the Saints game. How did it hold up? How did it feel?
It was good. It was good. It's just nice to be back out there, getting hit again, and shoulder feels good. Shoulder feels strong. So just gotta keep getting stronger each and every week. And it takes a lot you put in a lot of work, and I put in a lot of work in my body just to be able to have the opportunity to go back out there and play. So I'm proud of that work that was put in, but we still have a long way to go, and we got things to fix this week if we want to change the result around. So it was nice to be out there in the shoulder fields.
Thanks for your time, Mitch.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest sports show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Riles and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politics.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles.
Is Nick Foles the answer? You know, we're going to see once they get out on the field and start putting it together on the offense. But the inconsistency of Trubisky over these last few years, it's just, even in the year that we had a great run, what you saw, I think, last year was the inconsistent offense wasn't producing. I thought the play calling was very pedestrian.
Yeah, I was just continuing to prepare as if I was a starter, just go through my weekly practice routine and continue to watch film and all that, and just trying to find ways to continue to get better at my craft and hoping for another opportunity. So I'm excited for this week, and we got a big opportunity this weekend.
The Bears are what we thought they were. The Bears are what we thought they were. The Bears are what we thought they were.
Welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're broadcasting, streaming live on Facebook, broadcasting from the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago in the heart of Jefferson Park on the city's north side. This is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We got a big one on tap here. Sunday Night Football.
In the frozen thunder of Lambeau Field.
Well, it's not necessarily frozen.
Might be frozen up there.
Well, their game time temperature is 34 degrees. Okay. They're expecting possibly some light flurries toward the latter part of the game up at Lambeau in Green Bay. The Bears. Sunday Night Football.
Let's go.
Let's go, Mitch.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Couldn't get away from him.
It's our Bears Sunday night pregame broadcast. The 5-5 Bears looking to end a 4-game losing streak, and they have to go up against the future Hall of Famer himself. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who, in their own right, have been struggling over the past couple of weeks. And they're looking to rebound and get their train back on the tracks. And what better way to do it than against this dismal, disappointing Chicago Bears offense? Ladies and gentlemen, he's the one, he's the only, he's the marvelous one, he's Dan Marver. What's up, Marver? How are you?
Fine. How are you? Did everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Very good. Man, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
How about you?
I had my turkey sandwich and went back to sleep.
I love it. I love it. Now, when you make your turkey sandwich, do you toast the bread and put mustard on it and lettuce and all that stuff, or how do you prepare it?
Sometimes. This was pretty plain. It was quick and easy. Now, the whole normally,
You're talking about your sandwich.
Yeah, right. Normally we'd have some good NFL games to watch, but we did not because they canceled the only one that would have been any good. It was Washington and Dallas and Houston and Detroit. But the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game was canceled, of course. And how many years has it been on Thanksgiving weekend that Michigan played Ohio State? Like 50?
Right, exactly.
I know. Well, they're going to play December 12th, maybe.
Maybe.
So
maybe.
It was disappointing at many levels.
Very disappointing.
Both in terms of sports and personally.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly was disappointing. But all in all, Thanksgiving at the Riles house was delightful. It was delicious. It was just real cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
I'm getting tired of these Zoom meetings where you see everybody's bookcase behind them.
Well, you know what I do? I do a podcast, Sports Medicine Update, with the great Dr. Chad Padromas every week. You can check it out on Facebook and YouTube on the RewindSports60.com. But instead of having a bookshelf as my background, what I do is I either camp out in the kitchen or I'll camp out downstairs in the Hall of Fame room.
Right.
Because I want to be different and I want to have a different look. So instead of having the bookcases all, whatever, not that I have an elaborate bookcase or whatever the case may be, but but the kitchen or the Hall of Fame room is what I usually do.
Well, one thing that gets to me is when they show these celebrities where the background is their palatial estate, or that you can see outside where there's like 10 acres or something.
Well, that's the thing. Before the weather turned, I would sit on my deck.
Yeah.
And, I got the trees and, nature out there behind me. So I pick different spots to do. And I like what ABC 7 sports anchor, long time, he calls himself the Dean of Sports of Chicago, the great Jim Rose. He's doing his sports from the kitchen, and that's sports from the kitchen.
Then he gets to have his sandwich then, too.
Yeah, he certainly does have his sandwich. And ladies and gentlemen, she looks fantastic. She's outstanding. She's dynamic. She got a hair did and everything.
Hey.
She's the one, the only, the fabulous one, Lauren Cox. What's up, Lauren? How are you?
I'm wonderful, Jerry. How are you guys?
We're doing awesome. We're looking forward to an exciting game. But how was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving, it was pretty... It wasn't as impactful as it usually is. I mean, we didn't have as many people. We didn't have as much food. Everything was just a little scaled down. Everything was scaled down a bit. And that's okay because, these are the times and... we just can't have a party and just have a bunch of people over like we used to.
What was the spread like at Lauren's household?
Just your typical. I don't eat turkey. I don't eat poultry, so I always have salmon or lamb. Dressing, typical
lamb.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Or salmon because I don't eat poultry, but we still have turkey. I just don't partake.
Okay.
Dressing, greens,
really,
sweet potatoes, all of that. Yeah.
Now, what did you throw down or what?
Yeah, I threw down.
Good for you.
I threw down all right. Yeah, for sure.
What did you make?
Pretty much all of it.
Get out of here!
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lauren, you didn't bring us a plate? What's wrong with you?
Christmas.
So I have one question. On behalf of the government, how many people were there?
That's what I'm saying. It was only 4 people there.
Okay, good. You're okay then.
It's usually much more.
What are you, the GI man?
Hey.
You're supposed to call call the cops on your neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah, who's there?
Hey.
It's Marver. Marver who? I'm with the government.
You're 11 people. We're gonna have to take the 11th one to prison.
Hey, Marvin, what if they had a house full of people? What were you gonna do? Call Lori Lightfoot out? Hey, Lori, Lori, get him over here.
I'm scared. I don't want Auntie Lori to get me, so I only have 4 people.
I had Pritzker come if he can pull himself away from the Thanksgiving table.
Well, that's good, Lauren.
I don't want any problems.
No, nobody wants any problems for sure. But that's very good, and I'm glad that you had an enjoyable. You and the family had a fantastic. Scaled down Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Again, it's the times that we're living in, and you got to make the best of times. It's just, and I got to give what's Enrique.
Manuel. No. Oh, the one, not that one.
Who does the for the city? What's Dr. Enrique.
Yes.
I gotta commend her because the woman has been doing a fantastic job, and she does, she gives an update, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week for the city, just keeping people abreast as far as the numbers are concerned regarding, the virus. And she's trying to tell people what they need to do, the basic things.
Yes.
Your beautiful mask that you have on, the Rewind Sports 60 mask, marvelous. You got your mask on. Devin Tingle's got his mask on, along with his Kyle Fuller Bears jersey. We'll get a chance to talk some Bears football with the great former outside linebacker Bruce Heron coming up in a couple of minutes now. But she's always trying to keep people safe.
Yes.
And she a couple of weeks ago she broke down. Remember, she broke down.
She did.
And she was like, "Hey, you know what? Listen, it is my job," because people were sending her hate mail and death threats and all that stuff, and say, "Who are you? You don't tell me how to live my life." Blah 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 blah. She's like, "Hey, my job description," and she read it, and she said, "It is my job to protect you from yourself and to help you live. My job is to help you.
And I'm going to do my job."
Exactly. And so she broke it down and said, "Hey, listen." And the message has been sent all week long. Say, "Hey, listen, if you don't follow protocol, you want to go to have Thanksgiving dinner at your relatives, hey, by Christmas, you're probably going to be going to a funeral. You're probably going to be going to a funeral."
This is serious. People.
But she after that breakdown and the way that people came after her, she took off her gloves and said, "You know what? Hey, you know what? The gloves are off. I'm doing my job. This is what you're supposed to do. If you don't listen, shame on you. But at the end of the day, you're going to pay the price for it." So I commend her for stepping up and stepping out. Before we get to Bruce, and I talked about taking the gloves off.
Yes.
Laura, did you happen to, Marvelous didn't get a chance to see it last night. Did you have an opportunity to check out the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. exhibition?
Yes, I did. And
What'd you think?
I have a few tidbits about that. First
Real
of all,
quick.
the undercard, which was
Oh
just
my
as
God.
exciting.
Oh my God.
Featured YouTuber Jake Paul. I don't know, Dan, I don't know if you know Jake Paul, but he is the YouTuber premier.
He's got like 30 million followers?
Hey, he is the man. on
Unbelievable.
YouTube. Versus ex-NBA star Nate Robinson, and those dudes hate each other. So, this was...
Do they really hate each other?
They have beef. They had pre-beef before the fight.
No, because Jake said that he was actually a big fan of Nate. He said he was a big fan of Nate as far as basketball was concerned. He said he was Nate Robinson's #1 fan. He went out and bought a jersey and all that stuff. But he said when he comes to the ring, it's a different ball game.
Absolutely. And so he absolutely destroyed Nate Robinson,
God.
knocking the ex-NBA star out cold with a devastating right cross
God.
that sent Nate crashing to the mat. And then everybody was, dragging him for filth on Twitter, and people was doing the Nate Robinson challenge where they're just like laid out in the floor. So
Go ahead, Marvin.
This is how things have changed. During the undercard, Mike Tyson was smoking weed, so that's how things have changed over the years.
Snoop too. It was.
I gotta say,
all a smoke fest.
Yeah, it was.
This is where we are, people. This is where we are.
But wasn't it refreshing? Wasn't it refreshing to see?
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely entertainment. And they said Snoop Dogg in his commentary was just somebody needs to offer him a deal immediately. Like
it was
Monday.
off the charts.
Yeah.
It was off the charts. And his
Lil Wayne was supposed to perform, but
no, nobody wants to see Lil Wayne.
He went AWOL at the last
minute. He
minute.
had to
and
because he's in some trouble or something, isn't he?
Well, he was all set to perform and had even advertised it, on his social media page as early as Friday. It was kind of like he was a no-show. and they had to scramble and find somebody to fill in. And so I believe Snoop has some ownership in whoever put it together, Trill, I think it is. And so he ended up being phenomenal. And, he was more so the talk than the actual draw.
He was awesome.
Which was the 54-year-old Mike Tyson and the 51-year-old Roy Jones Jr.
And what did you think about the bout between those two guys?
I feel like they both were in shape to be 50 plus.
Say that again.
Well, they were in more shape than the regular 50 plus.
Mike Tyson was in shape. As far as Roy Jones Jr., he was sucking up wind by the second round. Now, normally, there's a crowd and, so you can't hear all that stuff, but you can hear everything. He was sucking up wind. It was I don't think he conditioned himself properly for this bout, because I don't think he anticipated being because again, you said the ages. Mike Tyson, 54 years of age. Roy Jones Jr., 51 years of age. And I think Roy kind of took it for granted that this 54-year-old Mike Tyson,
because we had talked about that on the show before. Mike was ripped months ago.
He beat Roy Jones Jr. like a drum.
It was a draw. They said it was a draw.
Of course, they said it was a draw. But if you watched the fight, he beat him like a drum. Did you see Roy Jones Jr. at the end? He was holding his midsection. I text the great Francis Cruz, the owner and producer of Ford Boxing News.
Sure.
She joins us regularly on the program. I text her and I told her, I said, I truly believe that Roy Jones Jr., I think he's got a broken rib. I thought he had a broken rib because the way he was holding his midsection after Mike Tyson wore his butt out. And Mike Tyson, he's scary. He is the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah.
He's still the baddest man on the planet.
Still is.
But he looked like he was in his prime. He looked like, to me, he looked like he was in his prime.
Yeah. All I know about Nate Robinson, for a 5'9" guy, he could dunk. And by the way, I got the first, and Ngozi Ezeki, just so he can be accurate. Ngozi
Ezeki, yeah, she is phenomenal. But as far as Nate is concerned, I've been in a ring a few times, and I know when you're boxing.
You've been in the ring?
I've boxed before.
Oh, okay.
I got a little.
Maybe you need to get out there, you and Dan.
No, I don't want to do that. But I got something up my sleeve. I'm still pondering it right now.
Come back.
Yeah.
Hey,
but
if they can.
Yeah, but the one thing that Nate didn't, the one thing he did that he shouldn't have done, he was aggressive toward Jake Paul. He kept attacking him. And there were two things regarding why he was laid out on the canvas. He didn't defend himself. That was the first thing. And he wore himself out by attacking constantly. And he never gave himself an opportunity to size up Jake Paul, to figure out what his strengths and weaknesses were.
Right.
And for all practical purposes, it was his first fight. It was definitely his first fight. But unfortunately, he was attacking it like he was a street fighter, fighting in the alley.
Right.
You can't do that.
No.
Can't do it. Hey.
He definitely took the situation for granted. He took Jake Paul for granted because he's a former athlete. He thought he could just go in there and just have his way.
See what, and that shows that he was an amateur because what happens, and we've seen it, Lauren, Marvelous. They're always bickering back, the prelims and all that stuff. They're fighting and arguing and stuff, and that's just to get under the other person's skin. It comes out to show how disciplined you are and how professional you are.
Right.
Because they say some things that you definitely want to knock the hell out of them.
Sure.
But when you get in the ring, you can't let all that emotion overtake you.
No.
Because you lose, and it's kind of like similar to the Bears' offensive line. You have to get back to basic, and you have to get back to discipline, and you have to calculate. Because boxing we saw it. Boxing.
It's no joke.
Let me tell you something. Football, I believe, is the greatest sport on the planet. It's the greatest sport because you have a combination of mental and physical strength and ability. But boxing, ain't no joke.
You have to be professional, and that's one thing about Floyd Mayweather. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is very professional when it comes to the training, the discipline, the not drinking, and taking it extremely seriously when he gets into that ring and in terms of preparation. And so, Nate, he totally underestimated.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And it showed.
Yeah, he was.
Showed.
It
showed.
Yeah, I felt bad for the boy, and I was disappointed because I thought he would be a little bit better prepared for it. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was. I thought he was going to have his little binky and have his thumb in his mouth, because he was out. He was laid out. In the hood, like we say, he was out like a let-out couch. He was out like a let-out couch. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to join us, Lauren, tell them how they get a hold of us. They want to join us.
So please, we are streaming live on The Rewind Sports 60 and WCPT. So check us out and definitely give us a call to join in the fastest hour in sports conversation, 773-763-9278. Call us.
Call us for sure. And one guy who's on our TR60 hotline, and he's a friend of the program, and we love him. And we're eager to hear what he's going to have to say regarding this Bears team and this Green Bay Packer game on Sunday Night Football. Hey, it's the premiere. It's all this. You know the song, All Eyes on Me. All eyes will be on the Chicago Bears Green Bay Packer game tonight up at Lambeau Field, 7:15 Central Time kickoff. Our 5-5 Bears, 4 straight losses, trying to go up to Green Bay and dismantle Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer, on Sunday Night Football. Bruce, who do you got winning this one, man? How are you? Bruce here, and the former linebacker, number 51. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How about you guys?
Good. Well,
great.
You know what? It's been this. Every time the Bears line up and lace them up, every Sunday or Thursday night, whenever there's a Bear game, you can feel the tension in the air. You can feel the electricity in the city. But, dude, I think this type of electricity that we feel tonight, I think it's going to be, I say last week, they said we'll meet you at the quarterback, and we saw, when they last played, and we saw they met Nick Foles and they beat the hell out of him. People are going to start saying tonight, for tonight's game, I'll meet you at the refrigerator so I can give me a cold one, because it's going to be a long night, bro.
You're going to need a lot of alcohol.
It's going to be a long night, man. What do you think? How do you see this unwinding up in Green Bay?
Well, I tell you guys, first of all, I want to say this. Get this out right now. I am never, whatever Trubisky gives us tonight and the rest of the season, I'm not going to complain, because I tell you, I was so disappointed in Nick Foles. And I know Nick was put into a tough situation because he's not a mobile quarterback, but with our offensive line not being able to block very well to protect the quarterback, Nick just didn't. He just didn't have a chance. He never had a chance. But you know what? It is what it is, man. With Trubisky, if whatever he gives us, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to go with it, because it's not his fault. The Bears gave up half the house to move up one spot to take him in that position. So he never should have been put in that position to begin with. So I'm on full for him. I got my fingers crossed, my toes crossed. Whatever he gives me, I'm gonna go with it.
You know what? The disappointing part about it, Bruce, and I don't believe you. I love you, and I know you're an honest man, and you speak the truth. I know that, but I don't believe you because I'm telling you what, and I hope I'm wrong. But watching this game tonight, and we see the outcome, I'm telling you, you're gonna be throwing something at your television. So what that damn no good. We can't. Hey, I'm telling you, Bruce, it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
I hope I can hang with my words, man. Because right now I'm saying that, but you know what? Sometimes my emotions get the best of me.
It happens to all of us, and lately the past 4 games for the Chicago Bears. We're on with the great Bruce Herron, number 51 outside linebacker, played with the beloved for 5 years in the greatest city in the world, of course, Chicago, Illinois. Previewing the Chicago Bears Green Bay Packer game and what we anticipate, what we expect that may unfold on Sunday Night Football. And something's got to give, because we know that the past 2 games that the Packers have played, they lost an overtime game last week, which at Lambeau, I believe it was, which was surprising. They eked out one 2 weeks prior to that. So
Jacksonville.
Yeah, so it's not like the Green Bay Packers are clicking on all cylinders, but at the end of the day, Bruce, they still have the greatest, if not one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever laced them up in Aaron Rodgers. And the scary thing about him is the fact that his experience experience. And I heard some commentators earlier say, hey, you know what? This guy could play another 10 years for the simple fact that he's able to dissect defenses and pinpoint when and where he wants to deliver the ball. So I don't see, and we have one of the best defense in the National Football League when you talk about the Bears.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be a very, very tall task for this Bears football team to, one, hold Aaron Rodgers to limited scoring, and two, try to see if our offense can muster up something, and if this Mitchell Trubisky can create some opportunities on the offensive ball for the Chicago Bears.
I'm telling you, I'm hoping that the Bears defense have taken an oversized can of spinach and eaten their spinach. You know, like Popeye used to be. You know, he eats the spinach, man. He comes out and he saves the day, right? And I'm hoping that man, this defensive line and the linebackers, man, I just hope they've eaten enough spinach to come out and just put some heat on them. And you know what? You gotta hit Aaron Rodgers a couple of times in order to get him to throw the ball before he wants to. And if they sit back and allow him to throw that ball, pick and choose receivers, it's going to be a long night. I'm just hoping the defense can put some pressure on him and cause some turnovers. We need at least 2 turnovers from our defense tonight. If you get that, I think we have a chance. So,
hey, Bruce, this is Dan here. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good. You know, the fact of the matter is the Bears have not lost a game in which Mitchell started this year. But, you know, week after week after week, the running game is pathetic. I mean, by now, shouldn't they have found an answer to that?
Well, that's because of our offensive line, man. I mean, we haven't been able to just perform it on the offensive line. And, you know, I'm hoping that for the last 2 or 3 weeks, this group that they've got playing tonight, they played together for 2 or 3 weeks now, and they should be a little bit more consistent. But, you know, it's not easy, man, to take a backup who doesn't play on a regular basis to expect him to perform like a starter. But heck, you know, and that's saying a lot too, because our starters were not doing that well when they were out there. So, you know, it's going to be a tough task, but I really do. I got a buddy of mine, Tom Sapinto, who's a huge Packer fan, and I got a little bet with him. The Bears by 3.
The Bears what? What'd you say?
The Bears by 3.
That's what.
You're a whole guy, man.
Wait, that's what you said?
Mm-hmm. That's what I said.
He couldn't even get that out of the way.
Okay. Guess what? Guess what? I got a bet too. Hey, Bruce, I have a bet also. Okay.
What's your bet?
Well, our good friend Henry Hackney Jr., right? He's listening. What's up, Henry? He texts me. He said, "Hey, Henry texts me. He said, "Hey," he said, "Bears by 6, and Mitchell Trubisky is going to have a good game." I said, "Henry, you want to put a little wager on this?" He's like, "Sure." So I said, "Okay." The wager is, if the Bears win, I got to buy him an Impossible Burger. Okay? from Burger King.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If when the Green Bay Packers do win, he owes me a pizza from Joe's Pizza in Wheeling. It's one of the best pizzas you will ever have in the Chicagoland area. It's one of the greasiest pizzas that you will have. I don't know when the last time you had a greasy pizza, but it's just so, the grease is just dripping all down your wrist and everything, and you're just folding it up and sticking it in your mouth and just jumping on I like the pepperonis, and the cheese just dripping all over the place. But it's the greatest pizza, man.
I know that Dad Blaster pizza's got to be good, but I'm telling you, you messed up when you placed that bet.
Why?
Because the bet should have been banana pudding from Darwin. That's what it is. Oh, you missed out, man. I'm telling you.
Well,
Henry's wife.
Yeah.
I tell you, Henry's wife.
Yeah.
Baked, man. I'm telling you, boy, she's got the best. She puts her finger in something, man. I don't care what it is. It could be It could be squirrel toes. Man, it's going to be the best squirrel toes you're ever going to take.
It certainly is, man. And happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there listening and to the Hackneys. And you're absolutely right. Darwin she's. I tell you, I'm smart, man. My stomach knows where to go when it's supposed to go there. And she makes the best shrimp gumbo. Better than anything in Louisiana and New Orleans. Better than any of that. She knocks it down, and I make sure that every year, she'll make a big pot for everybody, but I make sure every year that she makes a separate pot for me, and I get a chance to take it home, eat whatever, freeze whatever. But that gumbo, it's on point every year. But you're absolutely right. She does a fantastic job. And they both gonna kill us because we talking about we putting their business out there in the street, man.
I know. I need some.
Yeah, we putting their business out there in the street.
I need some of that gumbo.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
but
man, I'm gonna tell you something. Darwin is the cat's meow, man, when it comes to cooking.
Yeah. It's what the term the term you say. Did you put your foot in it? Oh, she definitely puts her foot in it, man. She gets it. She gets it done.
Put her foot in it.
Oh, she gets it done. We're on with the great Bruce Herring, number 51 of your Chicago Bears, former outside linebacker, joining us on the 3-hour-60 hotline, talking Bears, talking Packers, Sunday night pregame, and Bruce Herring. The reason we got off target was the fact that he said he put a placed a bet on the Bears. +3 over the Green Bay Packers. And here, you know what? I always do this, Bruce. I always scratch my head and I go, man, this week, should I take it? And I did the same thing today, Lauren. I said, should I take the Bears on this one? I said, because anything can happen. I mean, that's the way it is, any given Sunday. I go, wait a minute. I go, okay. They playing the Packers. That's one. They playing in Lambeau. That's 2. They playing on Sunday Night Football. That's 3. They playing against Aaron Rodgers. That's 4. And the offensive line sucks. That's 5. I said,
you got a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's a Bruce.
You got a lot of problems.
God bless you, man. But how do you see the Bears shutting down Aaron Rodgers, scoring some points, and walking away with a 3-point victory?
Well, you know what? I'm not saying they're going to shut him down. Aaron Rodgers, they got a lot, man. I mean, they got wide receivers, they got running backs, they got an offensive line that really, I mean, their aim every Sunday, every game is for keep Aaron upright, and they do a damn good job of it. Sometimes they buckle, like all teams do, but for the most part, they do a hell of a job. But I think the Bears. I'm hoping that the Bears defense can play their butts off. Get a couple of turnovers, like I say, and Trubisky not be loose or stupid with the ball. So if all that falls into place, we've got a chance. But if we get out there, man, and go right back into our normal routine offensively of 3 and out and moving the ball maybe 5 or 6 yards in a possession, then we're going to have a long night. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I believe in my Chicago Bears.
Well, Bruce, I do too. But listen, the Packers have scored 30 points in 8 of their 10 games, and the other 2 they scored 26 and 24. My sweet spot for the Bears has been they need to score 20 points. So they need to improve on the 20 and bring Green Bay down from the 30 that they've been scoring every single week.
Well, you know what? I understand. The stats are the stats. The numbers don't lie. But any team is apt to have a bad night. And Green Bay's had a couple this year, and so I'm hoping that this is another game where they're not on their P's and Q's, and we can pull this thing out. I have a lot of faith in my Bears, man. I'm a Bear. I'm a Bear for life. So, even when times are tough, man, I still believe in my guys.
I hear you, Bruce. This is Lauren here. So, speaking of their defense, how are you? Defensive lineman Akeem Hicks, he has been ruled out for the game Sunday night.
That's a problem. That's
major
a major problem. So without Akeem, man, they typically do not play well.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, another area that's been a bit deficient has been coaching. When we think about coaching as it pertains to this game and just moving forward, what are your thoughts? What needs to be done from the coaching standpoint to be somewhat of a threat to Green Bay with this game tonight?
I don't know. Coaching has been a problem. I mean, even the defensive coaching has been a problem. You go back prior to Nagy, and defensively, I mean, the Bears were just kicking butt. Even Nagy's first year, I mean, the Bears were just kicking butt. Khalil Mack he was all over everything, and I mean, he was all Mr. World. And I don't know what's happened to that damn defense, man. Defensively, I don't know if it's the scheme they're running or what. But all I know is I don't care. It doesn't make any difference how strong your defense is. If your offense can't keep the ball and run some time off the clock and put some points on the board, then your defense is just it's just not going to work. And I'm hoping tonight that they find it within themselves to have the best game of their season.
And we've talked about that before, Bruce, and just from your standpoint, seeing as though you were on that Bears defense, when you have an offense that is underperforming like our offense is, do you have a conversation with them? Like, what? That they have to be frustrated. You think about Khalil, all of them, I think they have a couple of years more on their contracts, but this is time wasted, essentially. And, they are one of the best defenses in the league. And put yourselves in that position. What do you say to that offense? What's your mindset when you know that the offense is underperforming and you're at the top of your game?
Well, you know what? As a defensive player, there isn't a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot you can say to the offensive players. What you say to yourselves is, "Hey, listen. Regardless of how our offense performed tonight, we are going to win this game. If we have to score 2 touchdowns on defense, we'll score 2 touchdowns on defense. Let's take the ball. Let's get out and take the ball away. Give it to our offense. If they don't score, let's go out and take it again." And that's the mindset they have to have. I know that was a mindset playing for Buddy. Buddy, because my time with the Bears, we didn't have a great offense. We just didn't. I'm not going to call any names or anything, but we didn't have a great offense. But defensively, our mindset was, hey, if our offense is having a bad day, if they can't get it done, then we're going to get it done. And that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in the 85, when that 85 team, when they won the Super Bowl, man, I mean, shoot, man, that damn defense, man. How many times in a game did that defense come up with the ball and hand it over to our offense? And typically they either it's going to be a touchdown or a field goal. Mm-hmm. If they didn't score a touchdown, that defense would go back out there and they'd get it again.
Yeah.
And it happened like that. But that's got to be the mindset of a defensive player when you have the type of offensive lackluster play coming from your teammates.
Well, the interesting thing about that 85 defense, Bruce Heron, we're on with the great Bruce Heron, number 51, former outside linebacker with the Chicago Bears. The one thing about that 85 defense, they're in the class of a Michael Jordan, in my opinion. They're in the class of a Michael Jordan. Because I swear to you, and you played the game, and you played the game. But I've never, ever, ever, and they talk about the Ravens, the defense, fine. But no match. I've never, ever, ever, Lauren, marvelous, in my life, I've never, ever seen this before on a football field. Well, where 11 grown men who are being paid to get out there and do their job were afraid to literally go out on the football field to do their job. I'd never, ever seen that in my life because, Bruce, you said, I mean, you take pride in what you are, and you're just like, hey, mano a mano, I got to go up against this SOB. Hey, man, I'm going to see how tough you are. I swear to you, I've never seen a defense put so much fear in grown men that they literally didn't want to go out on the field to do their jobs because they were too afraid. I ain't never seen that before. and even with Ray Lewis on the Baltimore, I've never seen that before, ever.
So are you saying that you're seeing that now?
Hell to the no. Hell to the no. And the reason being is because this defense, as well as they've been playing, and you talked about the fact that Akeem Hicks is out of this game tonight against the Green Bay Packers, they haven't taken the ball away the way they did back in 18. They haven't gotten to the quarterback consistently the way they did back in 18. They're not that dominating defense that they're literally taking the game into their own hands and making it a difference.
Yeah.
And so that's why you certainly can't put that defense in any of the categories as far as that 85 team is concerned. But here's a concerning factor for me regarding tonight's game against the Green Bay Packers, Bruce, is the fact that early, I don't know if you heard the comments of the defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano, and he was talking about going up to Lambeau and facing Aaron Rodgers. And paraphrasing, he said basically, you know what? This guy, Aaron Rodgers, he's unbelievable. He's a GOAT. And at the end of his statement regarding this game, he said, I don't even want to go up there. This is your defensive coordinator telling the media against the most hated rival that you don't even want to go up there and face them. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, that's bulletin board material for me. And I'm like, wait a minute. I go, how can you tell your defense and your team all the strengths that this Green Bay Packer team has? And you, I don't even go. I wish I had the comments. I wish I had the cut. He said, I don't even want to go up there. That, to me, man, you don't send material out there like that. What do you think of those comments?
Well, you know what? I think there's no coach. I mean, even at Pop Warner level, that will tell his team, you know what, guys, we really shouldn't dress up for this game because we're going to get our butts kicked. And I think what Pagano was doing was joking with the media, because you know what, there is no way on God's green earth that any coach would tell anybody on his team that we don't have a chance. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I have to believe, and I didn't hear the comments, but I have to believe that it was in a joking way.
No, it wasn't joking. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was breaking down, saying everything. He goes, "Wait, you know, this Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he goes, he's been in the league for so many years. He knows how to dissect defenses. He's seen everything." And at the end of the soundbite clip that was played, he's like, he was shaking his head. And he's going, "I don't even want to go up there."
He being honest.
I don't want you to be. Listen,
you saying what we all think.
I don't want that. Hey, I don't want honesty from my coach. I want my coach to lie to me and say, "We going up there to kick some ass." That's what I want.
Please
tell him, Bruce.
No, man. No. The coach wasn't talking to his team. He was talking to the media. He wasn't talking to his team. I guarantee you, when they get behind closed doors, he's telling his team something entirely different. He is not telling them that.
What is he telling them? What is he telling them, Bruce?
Oh, he's telling them, "Hey, look, you know, he's running." I mean, they've got footage of all the previous 10 games, and he's saying, "Look, damn, you look at Aaron Rodgers, you got to put heat on him. This guy, if you sit back and allow him to just pick and choose his spots, he will eat your life." So it's pressure, pressure, pressure all night long. You get tired, raise your hand. We'll get somebody else in there to come in and give you a breather. But damn it, every single play you got to tighten up your chin strap and let's go get some ass. Let's just give everything you got on every damn play. And I guarantee you that's what he's saying to his team.
Well, I hope he's saying that. I hope he's saying that. But
we're gonna have a chance to win this thing. We got to put pressure on him.
Well, I hope he's saying that. And I hope they can execute, because coming into this game, Aaron Rodgers has 29 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So I hope those words work out in our favor. Hey, let's go out to the phone lines. Tommy from Chicago is joining us on the Rewind Sports 60, the fastest hour in sports conversation. Tommy, what side of Chicago you calling from, brother?
I'm calling from the South Side, and I
South
just wanted to say I just wanted to say thank you to Bruce. You know what? Was absolutely aggravating is when you think of the 85 Bears, nobody wants to talk about the fact that these guys were the monsters of monsters because the National Football League was just a hell of a league, just like Jordan was king of the kings, man. And so for those guys and Bruce, I just say thank you, man, because tonight, man, I'm already drunk as hell, and I understand why the guy says he didn't want to go up there. Hell, they might as well be taking rakes, man. It just breaks my heart. Thank you, guys, and for the love of God, somebody pray to the football gods tonight.
Thank you, Tommy.
Please.
Tommy's all wired up, isn't he?
Bruce, that's what happens, man. That's what happens.
We all are going to be.
That's what happens, Bruce. It's Bears-Packers.
Hey, man, whatever Tommy's drinking, put it down, man. It's making him think poorly of our Bears. You got to drink something that's gonna give you some excitement and make you grit your teeth and say, yeah, my Bears gonna kick that butt tonight, man. Yeah. And believe it.
Well, here's the deal, Bruce, and you know, we talked about the running game. David Montgomery is getting a start at running back, and you talked about it as far as using him a little bit more effectively, and we know that Mitch Trubisky is getting a start at quarterback. We understand that the offensive line has had, you know, some time to work together and gel together and get some type of cohesiveness together. Would you... This is what I would do if I'm the offensive coordinator. And again, Matt Nagy is, you know, giving Bill Lazor the playbook so he can call the plays, although they're still the Matt Nagy plays. But would you attempt to do something a little bit different as far as the play calling was concerned in this football game, and give David Montgomery the opportunity to run the rock at least, you know, 21, 25 times to see if he can lose something? Because I understand offensive linemen, they prefer to run block as opposed to pass block. So would you just give David Montgomery the rock, have that offensive line pin their ears back and just go at it and see what you can come up with on the running game?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've got to. It's all a mindset. They have to develop a mindset where they have a game plan to go into the game. Hey guys, listen. This week we are going to run the football. We're going to run the football, and you know what? When you're running the football and when you're forcing it, it's, you know, David Montgomery, you know, his first 2 carries, maybe he gets, you know, 2 or 3 yards a carry, but you know, at some point, they keep putting that pressure on him. He's going to break one for 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 yards. He's got that kind of ability, but. It's all on the coaches to develop that mindset. They have to go into a game with the game plan saying, we're going to run the rock. And you know what? And when you get in the game, don't change your plan. Stick with your plan. Run the rock, because when you're running that rock like that, the play action opens up the receivers out in pockets. And now you got everything going. But if you're not running, you know, even when you know they give him the ball and he's right off guard and he gets stuck at the line of scrimmage, you know, come back and go off tackle, do something. You got to keep running that ball, man. You got to keep running that ball until it starts to open up for you. It opens up everything. But you know, this damn team, I don't know, man. I tell you, I'm so disappointed in damn offensive play calling that it's just, you know, with the kind of receivers we have and talent in the backfield, you know, we should actually be running the ball, man.
Yeah, but you said
open up things so that we can get the ball to our speedsters. And
Bruce. But you were talking. Yeah, you're talking about the offensive line is a problem, so their running game has been ineffective all year. And, you know, hope we bring our A game, because NBC isn't bringing theirs. They're sending Tirico and Dungy to this game. They're not even sending their A team.
Wait a minute, you don't like Tirico and Dungy?
No, they're not the A team. Michaels and Collinsworth are. Yeah. I'm not degrading them. I'm just saying they're not.
Wait a minute, you just said they're not the A team.
They're not.
Lord, I thought those condescending comments.
No, they're the Notre Dame.
Tirico and Dungy, they're the backup.
No, they're the backup. They're the Notre Dame announcers. That's right.
I think those are fighting words, Lauren.
They are.
It's a fact.
It's not a fact.
Sure is.
They just happen to be in the booth, and that's.
I know. Well, and not the A team for
NBC.
NBC.
Lauren, what is he talking about over there?
I don't know what he's talking
Look
about.
Look at the depth chart.
Everybody's going to be watching this game too
I know.
many.
Look at
This
the
is a
depth
must
chart.
watch.
It's like looking at the quarterback, first and second string. That's all I'm saying.
Well, also too, one of the major problems that we're having again amongst many is, you know, we always play the Packers close. The last 5 meetings were decided by 8 points or less. But Green Bay, they're having success from their receiving core. And when you look at our number one wide receiver weapon, Allen Robinson, the talent is there. Also, tight end play has been questionable. What do you see? What changes do you see that need to be made from our receiving core in terms of wide receiver and tight end play? Are they not being utilized enough, specifically friend to the show, Cole Kmet? What changes can we make to get some offensive production, more offensive production from our receiving core?
Well, I mean, first of all, they've got to. It's just like I said, you know, they've got to have a mindset. The game plan is, you know, needs to be, you know, not only running the ball, but when you're gonna use your running back, your running game to increase the potential in your passing game, that means you've got to utilize your tight end, man. Komet is a damn good tight end. I mean, let's see how good this kid can really be.
Yep.
Get him the ball, feed him. You got to feed him, and they haven't done that for some reason. I don't know. The play calling has been really, really poor, really, really poor. You know, with the kind of team that we have, offensive team that we have, the play calling just hasn't been there. And I've really been shocked with the play calling of Matt Nagy. And you know, it doesn't matter what down and distance we get in. It's the same suspect calling that we always get with him. And I don't know what's happened to him. I really don't. You know,
Well,
I just don't know.
Well, Bruce, I know. I looked in the crystal ball and I was like, damn, seriously? Crystal ball? That's it? I know what the problem is. Here's the deal. First of all, Tariq Cohen, he's truly the MVP of this offense.
Oh, gosh.
No, yeah, Lauren, that's where we are. Tariq Cohen is the MVP of this offense because when he has the ball, he's going to bring you some excitement. He's going to keep the defense honest, and he's going to work his little tail off to try to make something happen. With him, he's a threat.
So you mean all our problems are because he's out? Come on now. If that's the case, we got a major
Lauren,
problem.
Because when he was in there, at least you had an impact player. You had an impact player with Tariq Cohen. Now, here's the problem. I'm not saying he's, Tariq Hill. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not saying that. But he was the spark that this offensive needed back in. Just look at his play when he was on the field. But here's the problem. And it's Matt Nagy, as you talked about, the play calling. When you lose that type of impact player on your offense that's limited as far as talent is concerned, you do exactly what you guys just talked about, and that's utilize this young kid, Cole Kmet, on the tight end position. Because what's going to happen is now you have somewhat of an offensive option, an offensive threat, utilizing your tight end in the middle of the field. Because once you get into the red zone, you have another veteran tight end in Jimmy Graham who's productive, who gets into the end zone. So between the 20s, I think Matt Nagy dropped the ball, but not utilizing that tight end to take some of the pressure off the offensive line, but also the running attack, because he doesn't like the running attack. Utilize that young kid between the 20s to keep the defense honest, get you some yardage down the field, get into the red zone, which they're capable of doing. We've seen that, and utilize Jimmy Graham. That's where he fumbled the ball because he's fallen in love with his play calling. So don't thank me. Thank the crystal ball that I looked into, because that's the message that I got from it.
Somebody give Jerry some medication.
No, man, I got the medication right here. I got the.
Oh yeah, looks good. You got any extra?
No, man, that's the only thing that I see. That's the only thing I see, because again, if you continue to trot out, you can't. Nick Foles isn't the answer. Mitchell Trubisky isn't the answer. You got a kid you drafted out of Notre Dame as far as your tight ends is concerned. You got a kid you drafted out of Iowa State in the running back position. You got 2 wide receivers, one in Mooney, who they're trying to utilize, but you're not taking advantage of those weapons that you have, which means you're not really looking into the reality of the situation of what's going on week in and week out. And we see the end result from 5-1 to 5-5 with a 4-game losing streak, Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's the crystal ball.
5-1 was smoke and mirrors anyway.
We got to stop this losing streak. This is not good.
Yeah,
Bruce.
I tell you, this losing streak has got to come to an end. And, no better time to do it than tonight.
Yeah. Bruce?
Yes.
It's a great opportunity for the team.
It is a great opportunity, and you know what?
I'm going to tell you something. I truly believe it. Deep down in my heart, I believe that the Bears can win this game tonight.
They can.
You want to bet?
Absolutely.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I bet you this.
What?
You lose, you make sure that you get in touch with Darwin and tell us to make a banana pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what do I get when I win?
I don't know.
I'll send you a pack of Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
You gonna send me a pack of Kool-Aid? Bears Kool-Aid? Hey, Bruce, you're the best, brother. God bless you, man. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next Sunday, man. Go Bears!
Let's get
Go
this
Bears.
win.
The great Bruce here. Before we out of here, I got to say, real quick, condolences to a good childhood friend of mine, Johnny Marsh. We just buried him on Friday, and you guys know the random paintball shootings that were going on the south and west side. Well, he was a victim of a paintball shooting over on 118th and Michigan, and he succumbed to his injuries, broken ribs, busted sternum, and collapsed lung, and he passed away at the age of 57 years old. So rest in peace, my brother. We love you.
Rest in peace.
Anything else before we're out of here?
No, if the Bears win, you may see some pigs flying across Lambeau Field. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
Lauren, 10 seconds or less.
Just the COVID. A lot of games that we didn't get to see and a lot of decimated teams because of COVID. So be careful and be safe, everyone. Wear your mask.
Yep, wear your mask. Stay on over there and wash your hands. It's another edition of the fastest hour in sports conversation, the Rewind Sports 60 WCPT. Thanks to the great Lauren Cox. We love you. You're looking fantastic. I love you. Hair looking good, getting it done, and you put a foot in the greens. We're looking forward to some food on Christmas. Devin Tingle, thank you so very much. Good job. The marvelous one, Dan Marver. Go Bears. We'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Have a great and safe week. Take care, everybody.
Out to the ball game, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
All right. Let's hear it from the greatest fans ever. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its root. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Hey, let's get some runs. Thank you.
Still there. Oh, say does
TheRewindSports60.com. Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
To a loss like this, what was said during the locker room? Did anyone speak up, give you all some sort of motivation to finish out the rest of the week, or was it just what happened within the locker room?
I mean, no motivation. Again, I mean, we talk. You know, I mean, I keep that within the locker room, but you know, it's no motivation. You know, again, I mean, we got 5 games left. You know, guaranteed, and we know what's in front of us. So, you know, again, I mean, that's all the motivation that we need.
Jason Leisure.
Ellen, how do you think Matt has handled the 5-game losing streak?
You know, I mean, as about as best as a coach as you can. You know, again, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there's only so much that you could do. You know, again, I mean, even how we're losing and stuff like that. So, I mean, but I think he's handled it well.
Joe Lewis.
After having Nick Foles as the quarterback for the past few weeks and switching back to Mitch, how did the chemistry feel between you all again?
I felt solid. You know, again, I felt solid. You know, obviously, there's a couple of plays that everybody would want back, you know, in that game. But, you know, I thought all in all, I thought it was decent.
Jason.
Was the offense better with Mitch in there, Alan?
I mean, that's tough for me to say. Again, I'll have to go back and look at the film and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Joe Lewis.
How did you feel about yourself performance-wise? There was a 50-50 ball, I want to say, in the first quarter that seemed like you came down with it. Do you feel like you played up to your potential today?
You know, again, definitely feeling like that I want to have that. You know, I guess I got to complete the process a little longer. But all in all, you know, again, I mean, it's a couple of things that I may want back. It was a slant that I had that got broken up in the game. I want to say like the third quarter or early fourth quarter that I wanted back. But all in all, you know, I thought I played decent. You know, I feel like I can always play better.
Jason.
Alan, there's been a lot of very shaky quarterback play by the Bears during your time here. How have you kept that up? How do you not get discouraged by how they're going in the bad?
You know, again, I mean, however, you know, people are performing and things like that, that's not in my control. You know, again, I was brought here to catch passes, you know, to try to help lead this offense to be, you know, a good offense and to make plays. You know, so each and every day when I come in, you know, that's what I try to do. You know, and I try to get better each and every week myself. You know, again, I mean, I'm obviously not a perfect player. I don't think there's many people that are in this league. But for myself, you know, I try to find little things each and every week that I want to get better on so I can continue to grow as a player each and every day and each and every week.
Joe?
Yeah, and the running game seemed to step up a little bit more in the first half than it has in the past few weeks. Did that help you, you know, get separation or allow the defense to not hone in as much as they did before?
Yeah, you know, I thought those first couple of drives, you know, I thought we were able to get some runs, you know, especially on the first one where we had the ball. You know, again, being able to get all the way down to the red zone, you know, like that is huge. You know, again, I mean, I think everybody can see how the run can positively affect the offense. You know, just being able to get 5 yards, being able to get, you know, a couple of runs where you get 8 or 10 yards. You know, again, that changes the whole dynamic of the game.
JJ.
Hey, Alan, how did the offense just kind of feel with Mitch out there today?
You know, again, I mean, we ran the same stuff. You know, again, same concepts and stuff like that. As far as that, you know, that's in our offense. You know, so again, I mean, that's tough to say. You know, again, I'll have to go back and review the film.
I want to take this time to say thank you so very much for watching the Rewind Sports 60 channel. All sports, all day, encore presentation, and much, much more. Thank you so very much for your continuous support. Continue to watch, continue to support. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day, and may God bless you. Now, back to the Rewind Sports 60 channel. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast with yours truly, Jerry Riles, and the fabulous, sensational Dr. Chad Padromas. Doc, how are you?
I'm great, Jerry. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and we're in week 11 as far as the National Football League is concerned, and the numbers of COVID-19 continue to make its way around, not only in the NFL, but around the world of sports. As we've seen this past weekend, a lot of collegiate sports, football games have been canceled. One close to home and close to the heart, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who were to take on the Fighting Illini of Illinois, and Lovie Smith's team, unfortunately had to cancel their game due to COVID-19. But we move forward and we battle through, and the beauty of it is the fact that there's sports on television every weekend thus far that we can certainly lock into. And another feature here in Chicago on the gridiron, our beloved Chicago Bears will be heading up to Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer, and the Green Bay Packers on a Sunday night affair. And Mitchell Trubisky has been announced by Matt Nagy to be the starting quarterback for this football game. And we know that he was replaced in week 3 by Nick Foles. Unfortunately, Nick Foles is unable to go because he suffered a hip flexor a couple weeks ago. And now Mitchell gets to start, but he's coming in with a couple shoulder injuries that, he's been nursing over the past few weeks himself. So I'd love for an opportunity to dive in and pick your brain regarding these two quarterbacks for our beloved Chicago Bears and their respective injuries. First, let's take a look at Nick Foles. And again, he went down with what was called a hip flexor. It looked a lot ugly and a lot worse than what the end results were. But break it down for our viewers here on the podcast, whether they're listening or watching, regarding hip flexors.
Sure. Actually, it's called a hip pointer. And it's called that because you hit an area. It's not actually the hip joint, and it's at the point of a bone, and it's just been called that kind of forever. So what it is, if you that's what they call it. I'm assuming that's what it, an accurate diagnosis from what's in the media. But if you put your hand at your waist, like where your belt is, and just below where your waist is, there's a bone on either side where it's hard. Your stomach's soft, below that's a bone on either side. So that's the iliac bone, and the top of it where you feel it, if you just put your hand right at your side, just below your waist, that hard bony thing, it's called the iliac crest. It's the crest of the top of the bone. So anytime there's bone that's close to the skin, and you hit it, or you hit what we call soft tissue over it, it hurts like crazy. Kind of like your shin, a little different, but kind of like that. So in a hip pointer, you land right on it, and the bone bruises, and there are muscles from your abdomen that attach to it, and it is just known for being very painful. And he was in obvious pain when it happened. I know it kind of everybody was worried when it happened, and he was taken off in a cart. And then when they found out there was nothing broken and it was a hip pointer, I know it was treated dismissively a little here and there in some of the media, as though, wow, he was writhing in pain and that's all it is, because it's essentially a bruise of the area. But just want to let everybody know, it is known for being just an extremely painful condition, something it's hard to play or practice with. So I think his degree of pain was accurate. The next question is 2 weeks later, is it still appropriate or expected that he wouldn't be able to go? And it kind of depends. I mean, the thing of it is, he's not an accountant. Nothing against accountants, but he's not sitting in a chair at a computer, you know? He's a guy running around the field. So it's one thing to not have bones sticking out through the skin. It's another thing to be able to play through it. And so I don't think it's out of the ordinary that he's not ready to go. It actually brings up another question too, which is how do you treat it? And in general, the best way to treat it is just to leave it alone and get it to heal. There are kind of avant-garde treatments. You know, we treat things like this with platelet-rich plasma sometimes. But here's the thing. In days gone by, that would have gotten injected with cortisone for sure. And probably that isn't happening, or lidocaine, actually. So I should distinguish. Cortisone can help things quiet down sooner over a course of a few days. Lidocaine, Novocaine is something that you do right before the game, or there's other kinds, Marcaine, there's other kinds of anesthetics to numb the area. And that used to be done all the time. It's done much less now. I think it's a good thing that it's done much less now. So, I mean, without knowing the details of his condition, I think it's likely, though, from what I do know, that if they wanted him to, you know, he wanted to play and they wanted to have one of the team physicians inject that area and numb it up, that it would make it much more likely that he could go. However, they're obviously not doing that, and I think it's to their credit that they're not doing it.
Can you make it clear for those again who are watching and listening, and maybe clear it up for me as well? When you say they may shoot them up before, are you saying once the injury has been sustained, you sustain the injury, if for instance they wanted Nick Foles to play as opposed to letting Mitchell Trubisky come in, that they would shoot him up with cortisone or any other shot to get him out there faster? Is that right? What you? Okay.
You can do it one of two ways. So when it happened, let's say you go a couple of days and it's clear that it's pretty severe. At that point, roughly, you could inject him with cortisone. I said I never use cortisone, so let me be clear. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that it happens. And so cortisone generally inflames it for a day or two, and then it gets better. So usually 48 hours, maybe 24, maybe 72 hours, it feels better. So that could have been done earlier on. But on the day of the game, you inject it with, we still call it Novocaine, because people know the name, but they are local anesthetics. Lidocaine, Marcaine, probably the two commonest ones. Like if you getting a tooth pulled or whatever, you go to the dentist and they numb it up like that. So, and that just happened. We were talking the other week, and help me with his name, but the quarterback on the San Diego Chargers, who had actually won the starting job, and right on the day of the game, right before the game, they said he couldn't go, and it came out later, this is, 3 weeks ago, that he had rib something, contusions, I don't think they were fractures, and so the team doctor attempted to inject that with a local anesthetic. So it wouldn't be cortisone right before the game, it'd be like Novocaine right before the game, and that can last, there are ones that'll last 3, 4, 5 hours, even longer. But the doctor inadvertently punctured his lung, and it wasn't life-threatening or anything, but he couldn't go that day. Subsequently lost his job to the rookie he had beaten out. I can't remember who that is either, but it was a high draft pick for the Chargers. So I guess it's still being done some. And I know not to criticize the people that do it. If you're doing it, the thought process goes like this. The discussion goes like this. So first of all, the athlete has to want to do it. The athlete has to say, look, is there any way you can get me out in the field? If it's a shot, it's a shot, provided. And then the proviso comes up, provided I'm not going to do long-lasting harm. And then that's a discussion between the athlete and the physician and the trainer and maybe the coach, I don't know. And then you would say something like this. You'd say, well, you wouldn't want to inject, for example, an Achilles tendon, because if you numb that, you're at high risk to rupture it, and that's catastrophic. But if it's a bruise or a contusion, you could make the case, and you could say, well, it's sore, but just by injecting it, you're not going to rupture something that would need surgery. That would be the argument for injecting ribs. That would be the argument for maybe injecting a hip pointer. I've mentioned a couple of times here before that Chris Chelios was injected by the doctor. I think it was his groin, actually, and he inadvertently numbed the nerve, so he couldn't go. But so the argument goes, well, if I numb it up and I can play, will I be the worse for it later? Could I be permanently injured? And then it gets to be, who knows, I guess. And it just gets to be a discussion. And the physician says, well, there's always some chance, but I think it's pretty safe. Or physician says, I wouldn't do it because you could risk future injury. And that gets to be a gray area.
And I don't know if this is, your lane, so to speak, as we say. But how much of a factor? Because I recall, Michael Jordan and The Last Dance, and you recall when he, was drafted by the Bulls and he broke a bone in his foot, and he wanted to come back. The Bulls wanted him to sit out and just rest, and he wanted to come back. He cut the cast off, and it was revealed in the fast, the Last Dance, where Reinsdorf told Mike, hey, we talked to the team physician, the doctor, and he said, you shouldn't go. And the bottom line is, you take this one pill, one chance it can cure you. The other 9 opportunities, 1 out of 10 chances, the other 9 opportunities it can kill you. Would you take the pill? And Michael would say, hey, depends on how severe the pain was. How much does that owner factor in to, like, for instance, with a Nick Foles? Does the owner sit down, from your perspective and your experience over the years working with teams? How much of an input does the owner have as far as a player is concerned, and putting them on a shelf or getting them back out there the next week?
So first of all, it's going to vary, and second of all, I wouldn't have firsthand knowledge. I think what usually happens. So in my experience, I used to do an awful lot of team position work, and when I was younger and running around to games, and as I'd mentioned before, I was the original medical director for the Arena Football League when it started. So in its infancy, I actually did the physicals for all of the teams. And the person who is normally most involved is the coach, because the coaches, and I know, and I'm pretty conservative about people playing with pain, and I know there were some arena football coaches who were maybe not real happy with me, but they're advocating, they're saying, hey, I want this player out there, and any way you can do it, say no. So, it tends to be coaches, I think, and not all coaches, but they're the ones in the front lines. I would doubt that too many owners would interject themselves into that conversation. Some owners are more, Jerry Jones, and I don't know Jerry Jones at all, but Jerry Jones, I think, sort of functions as his own general manager, and or at least to a degree. So one would think, and Jerry Jones played too, so you would think that maybe somebody like him might voice an opinion. But I'll tell you, in general, ownership, coaches, everybody, I think they bend over backwards to not offer an opinion. And these days, I don't mean to imply that Jerry Jones is. I'm sure he doesn't, actually. But the thing that happens is, there's always an inherent conflict. And it used to be, even when I used to do a lot more for, anytime you're a team physician, it's kind of a funny concept. So I was team physician to, we had this huge enterprise, all these high schools, colleges, pro teams, the arena team. I was the team physician for the pro indoor soccer team with the Chicago Power, with Karl-Heinz Granitz, all these guys. Anyway, the athletes always view, even now, team physicians suspiciously, because now it used to be, it's interesting, way back when, team physicians used to be paid by the teams. But then it became sort of clear that being a team physician for a high-profile team was kind of a marketing benefit for a physician, because the implication is the physician knows what he's doing. And the thing has changed, what would it be, 180 degrees? Because it used to be they used to pay them, and then they stopped paying them. And then it became the case, which is kind of the way it works now, that actually the medical people pay the teams. They don't pay them a salary, but they wind up usually spending money for marketing purposes. And I know back when I was doing this, I was actually, in fact, I stopped doing it with one of the teams because they told me, well, you can do this, but we want you to buy 5 figures worth of advertising. And I said, I just didn't I just didn't think it was right, but at least not for me. But the thought is, so here's the thing. The thought is that the ownership, the thought is that people, maybe some athletes don't necessarily trust the owners because they figure the owners want to win and maybe don't care as much about the athletes' bodies. Not saying that's true, but some athletes feel that way. And then the thought is that the team physician is part of the ownership establishment. And so the thought is that they're on the side of the ownership, not the player. So, and I'm not saying that's true either, but that perception can exist. And so what has become increasingly common is that players very often, I think Mitchell Trubisky did, yeah. So, and you know, I know who the doctors are for the Bears, and they're all very good doctors. But Mitchell Trubisky went to see Dr.
Los Angeles.
Blanking on his name. Begins with an L, but he's a real good. Anyway, he's a great guy. He's a very good doctor. And went to see him for a second opinion, and at least it was in the media. The second opinion sort of agreed with the first. But players these days, there's two things. Number one, players will get outside opinions. Number one, because they'll think that there's somebody who's just, the best person at what they do, and not to say there's a guy named Mark Philippon, example, who's the he's a hip arthroscopy specialist. And he's a friend of mine, wrote a chapter for my ACL textbook, actually, because the relationship of hips to ACLs. And is I took a family member of mine to him because he's clearly the best there is. So professional athletes from all over the world come to him. Not to say that there aren't other people who can do what he does, but, if you want the best in that field, you go to him. And so people that can be perceived in other areas as well. And so the thought is, well, you go to somebody who you might think, hey, my doc's good, but this doc's better, or so you think. And also you think this doctor does not have a vested interest in getting me back on the field. So people go for second opinions, a lot. So, so getting back to the original point, and actually, I think it's a good thing because you just never want to be in a position where you're having some doubts as to why things are done the way they're done.
So you bring up Mitchell Trubisky and Dr. Chad Pajomis on the Sports Medicine Weekly Update, Jerry Riles. You bring up Mitchell Trubisky, and he started, as of the recording of this podcast, he's starting for the Bears against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. And a lot of speculation surrounding that decision by Matt Nagy revolves around and centers toward the two shoulder injuries that Mitchell Trubisky had. He injured one shoulder last year. I think that's the left shoulder, and then the right shoulder this year in a game against the New Orleans Saints over at Soldier Field. And he mentioned he went to get a second opinion from a doctor out on the West Coast in Los Angeles. And apparently the Bears felt comfortable with it. He felt comfortable with it. And with the unfortunate situation that happened with Nick Foles, he's going to get the start. No NFL player playing at this level is never 100%. But how effective regarding Mitchell Trubisky, and they talk about his athleticism continuously week in and week out when he's out on the football field, how effective do you think his play could be having sustained injuries in both shoulders and trying to be productive at a very, very high level?
Great question. By the way, the doctor whose name escaped me it's Alatrash in Los Angeles. We saw. Yeah. Great doctor, great guy. Anyhow, so here's the thing. So first of all, Mitchell Trubisky had a left shoulder dislocation last year, and they wouldn't let him run anymore, and he had surgery, and he's doing fine. But as I've mentioned before on this show, surgery, it's usually called an arthroscopic Bankert repair for shoulder dislocations, are not a slam dunk. And the Bears have two examples. Anthony Miller, the one, and then Jalen Johnson, the rookie cornerback, the other, who had that problem, had an initial surgery, had a recurrence of the injury, and had a second surgery. And half of them are doing okay. So Mitchell Trubisky has not had a recurrence, but that's his left shoulder. But it's higher risk. The success rate regarding recurrence, for example, is much higher. It's not high overall, and depending on the statistics, but it's probably in the 15% range. I don't know, something like that. Depends what you read. It's higher, for example, for a dislocating shoulder than it is for an ACL tear recurring. Anything can recur. But so anyway, so first of all, he's at some risk of that. By all accounts, he's been fine, but he's at increased risk, I think, for the left shoulder. For his right shoulder, a couple of years ago, he missed 2 games with what was an AC joint injury. That's the acromioclavicular joint at the top of the shoulder. We talked about that. Not a separation or dislocation of it, but a lesser degree of injury that kept him out for a little and he came back. And so I don't know what he did this time, but I know he fell on it. And there's a couple of common things that happen if you fall on it. One is an AC joint injury, and one account afterwards said it was similar to his other one. So whether that reporter knew anything, I don't know. But if so, it would be another AC joint contusion or sprain, let's say. Or you can just contuse the deltoid muscle in the rotator cuff. But here's the thing. I don't gamble, because I'm not smart enough to gamble. And but I don't know. If I were a physician for the Bears, and if they were asking me, and with having had his left shoulder dislocated, surgically fixed, and with having his right. So here's the thing. If he fell on it, if it is another AC joint sprain, like a grade 1 or 2 injury, we call it, he's at increased risk if he falls on it again to dislocate the joint entirely. So, gee whiz, if I were the team physician and they asked me, well, can we let him go out there and run? What do you think? I would tell them, not my decision, but is he at increased risk for both shoulders? I think so. And furthermore, the right one, probably doesn't feel perfect even now, right? So if I were a betting person, I would probably be betting that I don't think he's going to be running around a whole lot. And actually, what's even worse about that is that, he's a tough guy, obviously, and I'm guessing that shoulder, even though he can play, probably doesn't feel terrific. So if he just stays in the pocket and throws, sometimes when he runs around a little bit, maybe gets a little easier. I don't know. But I would guess they're going to be protecting him some. And I'm thinking if I'm Mitchell Trubisky, too, there's a lot of talk after he was hurt. Some people were saying in sports talk, if I'm his agent, I'm telling him don't come back, because all you do is go out there and get injured. You won't get another shot. But I don't know. He's got a chance to prove himself. So it's got to be tough on him, too. I think on the one hand, there's a chance to prove himself, and he's probably a little better when he's running around. But on the other hand, if he runs around and gets hurt, no good either. So I think I admire his toughness. I think it's a difficult spot for him.
No, there are a couple questions that come to mind based on, and great breakdown and great analogy. I don't know which question to ask. The one question is, do you think that the Bears, because the situation is it's delicate, I would imagine. On the one hand, because you said the recurrence of injury can happen, and we saw that when he injured the right shoulder against the New Orleans Saints, it looked like just a regular football play. It was a sweep that went bad for the Bears to the left, and he got hit and he was tackled. He got up and he ran off the field. It was clearly for just one play. And then we learned about 10 days later that he had injured, the shoulder. And based on what you just shared with us, constant contact and constant hitting against the Green Bay Packers can result in, the same thing, injuring that shoulder again. But that's one of the questions. And the other question is, do you think that the Bears are in a tough spot because they got 2 quarterbacks who are both injured, and they take the lesser risk of the other one, meaning Nick Foles have that hip pointer and Mitchell Trubisky has the shoulder? We have a better chance of succeeding with Mitch out there on the football field as opposed to Nick Foles. There's a lot there, and I know fans are wondering and thinking and scratching their head,
And I'll tell you another thing. I'm just thinking, you mentioned, does ownership get involved? So I'll tell you an interesting thing with the Bears are concerned. So George McCaskey runs the team, as everybody knows. But, another member of the family who's been involved with them for a long time is Brian McCaskey. Mm-hmm. And 30 years ago, I got to know Brian pretty well. Brian is a certified athletic trainer. People may or may not be known. And he actually was a trainer for the Bears back in the 80s. And, I know Brian to be a stand-up, bright, conservative kind of guy. So, I think that, and I don't know if he's involved with the team or not, but I'm sure he is to some degree. So I think, with him being involved, there's even less chance that ownership would advocate anything, just because he's a stand-up guy. As far as with the two quarterbacks, I mean, who knows? We might see Tyler Bray out there. I don't know. I mean, my guess is Mitch Trubisky is mobile enough to play and keep himself out of trouble, I think his legs are fine. Presumably he can throw. So, he's probably a better bet. A guy like Nick Foles, if you can't move, and he's not a running quarterback anyway. So if someone who wasn't that mobile to begin with, and with a lot of their offensive line being injured, seems to me he'd be kind of a worse bet to perform well in those circumstances than Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, but I believe you probably saw the play where Mitch was hurt. Again, from a fan's perspective, it was literally one play, rolls to his left. The play was botched. He got tackled, and it wasn't a severe or vicious type of tackle. It was a football tackle. And I guess he fell somewhat on the shoulder or whatever the case may be. He gets up, gives the ball to the ref, runs off to the field toward the sideline, and it looked as if in his running motion he was moving without any concern or illness or injury or anything. And then we learned, days later that this guy sustained an injury on one football play. So it kind of, and you talked about not being a betting man. I don't bet much either, but if I'm betting this game, I'm betting against the Bears because I don't think that Mitch Trubisky with two shoulders, especially the most recent one, holding him out, it just seems to me that I can't see him being on the football field for 60 minutes with a shoulder that he injured in a game that he only played one play in.
Yeah, and the other thing about falling on your shoulder like that, and a lot of times it's how you fall and if you can protect yourself too. I mean, just falling even if nobody's on you. But if you can't protect yourself, like, goodness gracious, poor Drew Brees. I mean, like 5 broken, 6 cracked ribs, So, sometimes it's just how you fall if you can't tuck and roll. But the other thing I was going to say is that it's his throwing shoulder. So it's not even, it's not even can you run around out there, but can you run around and throw a football, and it's like a baseball pitcher. If that shoulder's messed up, maybe you can throw, but maybe you can't throw well. So I'm just saying that's part of it too, not just a question, is he good enough to go out there and run around, but is he good enough to run around and throw, and throw a football accurately?
Yeah, and it's got to be interesting from the Bears' perspective. Of course, Mitch, athletes want to get out there, and you know this. Athletes, they want to play. They'll play until their last breath, and we certainly get that. But again, we talk about his agent and we talk about the ownership. Is it worth it to jeopardize? And Mitchell Trubisky this past week said, hey, I want to play in this league for a very, very long time. And I guess the Bears have weighed the options and said, you know what? It's best for him to get out there to keep this season, somewhat alive as best we possibly can. But, looking at it from his agent's perspective and from a business perspective, and I know the individual you talked about that said I wouldn't play him because of his future. That was David Kaplan, the great David Kaplan, who joins us periodically. NBC Sports Chicago here in the great city of Chicago made that comment and said, you know what, if I'm his agent, I don't want to start him because I don't want to jeopardize his future as far as the National Football League is concerned. is concerned. I would be very, very leery of putting him out there on the football field.
Particularly since it's away, it's the Packers, the line's beat up. I mean, it just seems like a setup. No matter how well he plays, that the odds just have to be against them.
It's like a setup for disaster, to be honest with you. It really, because they're going to be without Charles Leno Jr. on the offensive line. This is the offensive line that's really much just been duct taped together, put in place, and haven't really even worked together. You're going up against the Green Bay Packers, who are chomping at the bit, one of the best defenses in the National Football League. You got a guy in Mitchell Trubisky, again, 2 shoulder injuries, and he's still not comfortable with NFL defenses, and you don't have a running game. So it's almost a formula for disaster, to be honest with you. It really is. In closing, Doc, there's a lot there. If people want to get a hold of you, if they have maybe a shoulder injury, if they have a knee injury, ankle injury, or anything of the sort, how would they be able to get in contact with you and learn more and find out more?
So call my office. It's 847-699-6810. Got a great staff. I have an email that's just ortho, like orthopedic, but ortho@ismoc.net. And we answer all our emails. So always happy to try to be of help.
Sounds good. Doc, did you have an enjoyable Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. How about yourself?
I certainly did, and of course, considering the circumstances, it was a safe environment, of course, at home, and it was very, very delicious and a relaxing evening, to be honest. And hopefully, we'll have brighter days ahead of us. I know the Christmas, the holiday seasons are coming upon us as well, and we're looking forward to spending a lot of time with family, hopefully friends, whether it's virtual or in person. That remains to be seen, but we want everyone out there to be safe and sound, and practice your social distancing for sure until we can get around this thing.
Right. Absolutely. Great advice, Jerry.
Sounds good. Hey, Doc, you're the best. Fantastic. Stay safe, and we'll be talking with you. Temperatures are supposed to go down, so I think our golfing days for the rest of this year are out the door, my good friend.
Yeah, break out the orange balls, huh? That's right. All right, man. Thanks.
Dr. Chapman Jones, thank you so very much. Take care of yourself.
Take care. You too.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60. TheRewindSports60.com.